In the final desperate years of World War II, a machine was being built in secret, so advanced, so unusual, that even Germany's own engineers questioned whether it was real. It flew differently, it was shaped differently, and it was designed to change everything. The Allies had no answer for it. The world had never seen anything like it. And then, suddenly, it disappeared. Or did it? Welcome. Two Wings of WW2, the channel where history's most extraordinary flying machines come back to life. Now, before we go any further, this is your first time here? Think of subscribing like putting on your seatbelt before a flight. You wouldn't skip that, would you? So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you never miss a story like this one. It takes just 1 second. And trust us, you'll want to be here for what's coming next, and we'd love to know. Where in the world are you watching from right now? Drop your city or country down in the comments. It always amazes this channel how far these stories travel. By 1943, Germany knew the war was turning. The skies once dominated by the Luftwaffe were becoming dangerous territory. American and British bombers were arriving in waves, hundreds at a time. They flew high, they flew fast, and Germany's conventional aircraft were struggling to stop them. The pressure inside Hitler's war machine was immense. Resources were shrinking. Fuel was running low. Factories were being bombed. And yet, inside certain classified facilities, something extraordinary was quietly taking shape. Hitler's regime had a habit, some would call it an obsession, of throwing enormous resources at unconventional ideas. When conventional solutions failed, the instinct was not to retreat, but to gamble. To reach further, to build something the enemy could not yet imagine. And so, Germany's finest aeronautical engineers were pulled away from standard aircraft programs and quietly redirected. Their new assignment was unusual. Their new workspace was hidden. Their new aircraft was unlike anything flying at that time. The project they were handed was not born from optimism. It was born from desperation. And history has shown, time and again, that desperation can be a surprisingly powerful engine of invention. The aircraft being developed was a flying wing, a design so radical that it had almost no fuselage, no tail. Just a wide, smooth, angular shape that sliced through the air in a way nobody had seen before. Engineers called it aerodynamically revolutionary. Critics called it reckless. Hitler's command called it necessary. The Horten-Ho 229 was its name, built by two brothers, Reimar and Walter Horten. It was jet-powered, radar-assistant, and capable of speeds that left conventional fighters far behind. Germany was not just building a new aircraft, it was attempting to rewrite the rules of aerial warfare entirely. And the world had no idea it was coming. The year was 1944. Deep inside a hidden German facility, two brothers were doing something the aviation world had never witnessed before. Reimar and Walter Horten were not typical engineers. They did not think in straight lines. They did not follow conventional blueprints. They thought in curves, in angles, in possibilities that other engineers had simply refused to consider. And what they were building was proof of that. The Horten-Ho 229 had no traditional body, no long fuselage stretching from nose to tail, no vertical stabilizer rising from the back. It was essentially an enormous wing. A single sweeping shape, wide, flat, and angular, with two powerful jet engines buried inside its structure. To look at it was to question it. Most engineers of that era believed a stable aircraft needed a tail, needed a traditional shape. The Horten brothers disagreed completely. And Hermann Göring, head of the Luftwaffe, gave them the resources to prove their theory. Göring had issued what became known as the 3x1000 requirement, an aircraft capable of carrying 1,000 kilograms of bombs across 1,000 kilometers, at 1,000 kilometers per hour. No existing German aircraft could meet this demand. But the Horten brothers believed their flying wing could. The investment was enormous: skilled labor, rare materials, valuable fuel, all redirected into this single experimental gamble. Germany was bleeding resources on every front, and yet the regime kept funding this project. Because the logic, however dangerous, was clear. One revolutionary aircraft could shift the balance of an entire war. That is the gamble every desperate organization eventually faces. Pour everything into the unconventional, or accept defeat quietly. Germany chose the gamble, and the world would never forget what came next. There is a price for secrecy, and Nazi Germany paid it in full. The Hortenho 229 was not the only secret project consuming Germany's dwindling resources in 1944. Hidden facilities across the country were burning through materials, manpower, and money, all in the name of classified innovation. The V-1 rocket, the V-2 missile, the Me-262 jet fighter, the Horten flying wing. Each project locked inside its own wall of secrecy. Each team completely unaware of what the other was building. This is where the story takes a darker turn. Because secrecy, while protecting Germany's innovations from Allied spies, was simultaneously destroying Germany's ability to think clearly as an organization. Engineers working on the Ho 229 could not communicate with engineers on other programs. Breakthroughs made in one facility never reached another. Solutions discovered in one laboratory were being rediscovered from scratch somewhere else. Weeks lost, months lost, irreplaceable resources dissolved into duplication and confusion. The compartmentalization that was designed to protect Germany was quietly suffocating it. Meanwhile, the Allied forces operated differently. American, British, and Soviet engineers shared intelligence. They coordinated. They built upon each other's discoveries. Their innovation moved like a river, continuously flowing forward. Germany's innovation was moving like separate puddles, each one isolated, each one slowly evaporating. The Horten brothers themselves faced this problem directly. Critical components for their aircraft were delayed, held up in bureaucratic secrecy channels. Test results were restricted. Approvals moved slowly through layers of classified administration. A project that needed speed was being strangled by the very system protecting it. And here lies the warning that still echoes today. Secrecy without coordination is not protection. It is simply a slower way of destroying yourself. In the spring of 1945, as Allied forces pushed deep into German territory, a special American unit was moving with unusual urgency. They were not chasing soldiers. They were not securing cities. They were hunting something far more valuable. They were hunting knowledge. Operation Paperclip, as it would later be known, was one of the most calculated strategic moves in modern history. The United States government understood something that most people, focused on victory celebrations, completely missed. The real treasure of defeated Germany was not its land, not its gold, not its remaining military hardware. It was the mines and the machines that those mines had created. When American forces reached the Gotha factory in Friedrichsruhe, they found something that stopped them completely. A nearly completed Hortenho 229 wings spread wide. Jet engines intact, its radical design sitting silently in the shadows of a captured facility. They had never seen anything like it. It was carefully documented, carefully dismantled, and carefully shipped across the Atlantic, to be studied, to be understood, to be used. The Horten brothers' revolutionary flying wing concept did not die with the Third Reich. It was absorbed into the most powerful military-industrial complex the world had ever seen. Decades later, aerospace analysts and historians would draw direct lines between the Ho 229's radical design and the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, America's most sophisticated, most expensive, and most feared aerial weapon. The same swept wing geometry, the same absence of vertical tail surfaces, the same principle of reducing radar detection through shape alone. The Horton brothers had conceptualized stealth decades before the word even existed in military vocabulary. And the Soviet Union was doing exactly the same thing on the other side of the world. Capturing German scientists, extracting German research, building upon German foundations. The space race, the arms race, the jet age itself, all carried fingerprints of projects that were supposed to remain hidden forever. This is the lesson that no business school teaches directly, but every serious strategist must understand. Intellectual capital does not vanish with defeat. It migrates, it transfers, it multiplies in the hands of whoever is prepared to recognize its value and act fast enough to claim it. Germany lost the war, but Germany's ideas quietly won the next 50 years.